Then, long story short, there was a coup. The soldiers came on board and immediately turned their attention to accepting the Russian military or defense agreement. Following that, let me fast track it. The coup in Burkina Faso happened. The Burkina Faso coup took place. The president, the new head of state, said he didn't even mean what he said. They were now turning from France to face Russia as their new foreign policy ally. People came out on the streets of Ouagadougou, protested, holding Russian flags. The same pattern has happened in Niger. The reality is that, you know, it appears to be the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. You cannot afford, and that's why when the coup in Niger happened, let me just put this straight. When the coup in Niger happened Thursday last week. Sorry, on Wednesday last week. Wednesday last week was when African leaders were in their hotel rooms in St. Petersburg on the eve of a conference with Vladimir Putin, president of Russia. Now, they were sipping tea, maybe having a meal, you know, looking at their documents, trying to fine-tune what they were going to bring to the table at the conference the following day. Then they had in their hotel rooms that a coup had taken place in Niger. And seeing the trend, I mean, French embassy has been attacked. People are holding Russian flags on the street of Niamey and so on. When they entered that meeting, that conference room with Putin, how did they feel? Right. I think that they went in there as second-class heads of state compared to Putin. That then, I think moments later, understanding the level of the threat, the U.S. Vice President called President Tinubu, being ECOWAS chairman, and for being Nigeria, to tell him, look, we stand with you, we support you, and so on and so forth. Something ominous is playing out. If you don't meet it
in the bud
with a fist,
so it's all right. But conspiracy theorists are looking at neo-colonialism. That's, by the way,
it's not conspiracy. So in South Africa, for example, on SAPs, which is the state broadcasters, and by the way, South Africa is a member of the BRICS countries, all right, which has Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They asked the reporter, maybe the foreign correspondent, asked and said, what has happened in Niger? She left the issue in Niger and began to talk about the fact that President Tinubu's own election was illegitimate, and as a result of that, people feel he does not have the power to confront the come on.
All right.
Come on.
Okay. Again, the headline to that story is 24 hours to deadline. ECOWAS rackets up pressure on Niger military junta. All right, to other stories in the leadership. Governor Inua hails Ganduje's emergence as APC national chairman.
He will hail it, although some people have also mocked. The LP has mocked, the PDP has mocked. I, for one, I thought that the APC could have avoided this scenario in light of the moral questions that will arise and that indeed have arisen in the wake of the appointment of a Ganduje as party chair. I mean, we all saw those videos. I am a bit out of wit to imagine that the APC could go ahead to. But I mean, many watch on the street will tell you what more surprised are you. What more could surprise you? You know, when you see our political parties put up this, I think in 23 years, Nigerians have seen enough to know that a lot of these parties are just the same thing. You know, scandalous corruption, rewarding bad behavior, seeing white and calling it black, and so on and so forth. Can Nigeria really bank on our politicians for salvation? I hardly imagine that.
All right, to another story. May I take you to Edo now? Court halts Obaseki's impeachment moves against Deputy Governor Philip Shuaibu. I
thought they had it going on so well. I remember that at the height of the governor's imbroglio with he is now well estranged political benefactor in the person of Adam Oshomole. One of those, in fact, Oshomole had wanted him to drop Philip Shuaibu as one of the conditions for peace back then. And the governor said, no, I'm Governor Philip, his deputy. Obaseki is an urbane, well-educated man. He's a good articulator of speech. I can't imagine why. I mean, they had been going so good together. I'm wondering why they would now be at loggerheads with each other. But it always happens in politics, doesn't it, Citizen Jones? When your political landscape is devoid and bereft of values, bereft of ideology, bereft of... You will always have these problems. People can disagree personally. Yeah. But as far as they can agree on values and ideology, they could work together.
Cyril, reconcile that with the fact that in politics, friendship and enmity are not permanent.
Of course they are not, but values could always be.
Values.
Always should be.
Can you spell values? 10 minutes past 7. This is newspaper headliners from the Voice of the People radio. Here it is. Tinubu vows to remove obstacles to stable electricity.
Yes, it's easy to say this, but in reality, why don't we encourage states to be able to now be properly empowered and to source for the power and give the people? We should have many options, and then we should hybridize the source of electricity.
I thought that was already on the cards because electricity generation, transmission, and
distribution
has been removed from the Congress.
Exactly why I said we should encourage them. Yeah. I mean, it is up to this day. We are not even hearing any governor, anybody taking the bull by the horns and moving very fast. I think it was the day after or a week after, the Lagos State government quickly came out and, of course, expectedly, came out and said they were going to roll out an ambitious, was it 5,000 megawatts or so? But it's not enough to say these things. We hear it. Can't we also see it? Yesterday, the president was in Gwagwalada to unveil the NNPC, the groundbreaking for the NNPC. But the thing is this, they are talking about $800 million that will come in from it. But that's a very long-term thing. Because even the pipeline that will supply the gas is still under construction. We're looking at at the minimum, it will take us 3 years to even finish that project. By then, the president's first time would have already seen the end of his life. Wow. So we're looking for low-hanging fruits.
And a second term would be in the offing. Okay, here it is. Tinubu replaces Kano ministerial nominee Mariam Shetty.
Well, Mariam Shettima Ibrahim, who was replaced with Mariam Mahmoud, okay, as well as the addition of Festus Keyamo. The president perhaps has his reasons why he withdrew the nomination, but I think that Kano State is such a hotbed of political power play. The president personally nurses Kanu. Kanu is his president's own nursery. He will do everything to protect Kanu, to keep Kanu, in the bag. So because they didn't give any reason, they didn't say she had become indisposed or that she was voluntarily withdrawing. They didn't say anything like that. The president simply, so they've not given us any reason. But looking at I read what it was that was written about her in terms of her bio. Perhaps the ministerial nomination was going to be the biggest achievement that she had gotten, unlike a number of other nominees who had more than distinguished themselves in their chosen professions. Of course, she's young, about 44 years of age.
Yeah. I guess thinkingly rich.
The president knows. The president perhaps has his reasons why he withdrew a nomination. It is solely his prerogative, so it's up to him.
Yeah. Navy defense vessel empty praise suspected of carrying stolen crude oil.
Could you take that headline again?
Navy defense vessel empty praise suspected of carrying stolen crude oil.
Aha. Because this story first came out, I think I first saw it yesterday, even if I didn't go into all the details. Now, the question about oil theft has to be put to bed once and for all. We cannot continue, and look, you are going to continue to see vessels with stolen crude, vessels with stolen oil, vessels with stolen. When the first one you saw, you didn't try to play by the books, play by the law. You're not interested in rule of law. You're interested in what I mean loosely called jungle justice. Who sees a vessel carrying large quantum of oil, and the next thing you do is to bomb it, to destroy it? We didn't hear of any serious arrest. We didn't hear of any investigation. We didn't hear of any prosecution. Nothing came out of it. As far as I'm concerned, oil theft remains a state-sponsored, well-orchestrated, cabal-backed crime against the Nigerian people, because oil is our commonwealth. But a few people have turned themselves into a Kwango. They are looting it. They are stealing it. They are stealing us blind. I was telling a friend the other time, I said, this oil theft, the reason why we perhaps are even hearing about it in the media now today may even be the fact that old thieves are being pushed out by new thieves who want to take, of course, who want to take over territory. So and the person said, how about it was even a case of the fact that the old thieves are still there, but they simply want to do it with their old vessels, and they're using state power to destroy them. But the fact is, I mean, who fight it, the way you get by the first crime determines how you get by the next one. None of those vessels could have come into Nigeria undetected, or could have sprang out of thin air. I mean, without anybody noticing. So these things won't work. As far as I'm concerned, we should even stop calling it stolen crude. I'm personally not happy.
Okay.
So
to you, it's a way of life.
No prosecution, no, nothing. You just wake up and hear that. So you saw stolen crude, and then what happened? In the last one we saw in Ondo, it was it Ondo State? We committed a crime against the law, a crime against justice, a crime against the Nigerian people, and a crime against the environment, because we just destroyed the thing and destroyed the flora and fauna. Just like that.
All right. Last bit on Niger. Atiku cautions against military engagement, advocates dialogue.
It is not. Citizen Jones, frankly, I don't agree with this thing. What we can do is to what's the word? Put our cards on the table and calculate exactly what it will cost us. I think we may not be able to afford it in the final analysis. It's fine, but military action remains the only viable thing to make a statement. When Hitler took the first thing, what Hitler did first was to attack Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia back then. He took Sudetenland. Macmillan and his French counterpart went to Macmillan being the British Prime Minister, and his counterpart in France, I can't pick the name now, went to Berlin. They met with Führer Hitler. They said, okay, don't take further than Sudetenland. Just leave it. Weeks later, was it weeks or some time later, the whole of Czechoslovakia fell to Germany of its own accord.
And Poland.
Then Hitler wasn't satisfied. What he did was to quickly look for another world power, entered into an agreement with him, being Stalin, on August 23 and 24, 1939. On October 1, he invaded Poland. What you are calling it a coup? It is not a coup. It happened in Guinea-Conakry, happened in Burkina Faso, happened in Mali, and now it's happened in Niger. It has the appearance of a coup. It is not a coup. You are going back to becoming a colony. And let me say this, maybe people, sometimes politicians like to play.
Interestingly, they are all former French territories.
In Mali, the Malian government has abandoned French as lingua franca. They have made an announcement some days ago. Let me explain this. Political scientists are not willing to speak on this matter because maybe they want to be careful and mindful. But I can assure you, sometimes, I mean, looking at what's going on, the generality of Nigerians are not happy with how Nigeria has even fought the war on Boko Haram. I think it was Chido Odinka who even tweeted today and said that a country that couldn't impose a no-fly zone on Zamfara wants to impose a no-fly zone on Niger. Of course, it makes all the sense, but all of that for me is sheer populism. The fact is, Citizen Jones, the trend of what we are seeing today, any world power that could sponsor a coup in Niger has had a threat on Nigeria. Don't you see this thing? This is not a threat. It's a threat. They have put us on notice. It's a warning. So I rest my case there anyway.
Okay, let's move to the punch now. It leads with this. Bloated structure. Tinubu, new governors to get 48 ministers, 560 commissioners across the country.
Could you take that again, Citizen James?
Bloated structure. Tinubu, new governors to get 48 ministers, 560 commissioners.
Of course. The 2023 election was since 1999 has been the one that has been built on the most horse trading, on the most corruption, and then on the most burden to now reward the boys for a job done. And if you look at the way things are right now, Citizen Jones, I can tell you that with every new dispensation, what was a little thing in the past metastasizes into a full-blown problem. Today now, almost everybody believes he or she can be a minister. Almost everybody believes he or she can be an ambassador.
Excepting me.
People, people just believe, I too can be commissioner. The era when people proved what they could be with what they have done in the past has gone. Everybody believes they can be anything, and governors are under serious pressure. An election in which the APC was for the PDP was for the APC, you couldn't tell who was for who. Now that the ships are down, you're beginning to see the president has members of other parties on his cabinet already. Accord party people are there, PDP people are there, which means that people who should have been loyal to their parties were rather loyal to the president, okay? And in light of that, what you now find is the fact that the values or principles that should have held us, that should have held these people in their places gave way. So now it's a free for all. Everybody is rushing into the same center. The question is, can we still run a lean government? Of course, we can no longer talk about lean government. Some governors in the past even had up to 500 and something advisors. I think Wike was one who actually set a new Guinness World Record with thousands and thousands of appointees.
200.
No, towards the end of his government, he had almost
200,000.
Yeah.
I remember.
So,
okay, business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I declined orders from men. I declined orders from men to rob female passengers. This is what a Lagos e-hailing driver is saying.
He declined
orders from men to rob female passengers.
Those men must be a syndicate then, and they must have wanted to co-opt him into their crime cartel. But for him to be saying this now, he was arrested. I want to think arrested, and perhaps I think it was that story. Some guy saying that the subsidy removal of subsidy pushed him into crime.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't pushed everybody. It won't push everybody into it. There was a question Professor Festus he asked in his famous novel Violence. He said, "Are you violent because you're a soldier, or you become a soldier because you're violent?" So the question,
or a cross in between.
Yeah. So the removal of subsidy now is bringing out the real person in you, or it was always there and subsidy removal now brought it out. So don't let us give room to crime. It could never be a good thing. It could never be a good thing.
All right. Still in the Punch, I have this. Insecurity prevented 80,000 northern children from immunization. This is what the MPH CDA boss is saying.
Yes. But before now, on his watch, we were also able to beat back polio. We were given a clean bill of health by the WHO. I remember this was about 3 or 4 years ago. There was even a documentary to that effect by the National Primary Health Care Development Agency. I want to believe that's the full name of that. Again, I have to commend that man. I think he's doing a good work. But more to the matter in question. For me, I wouldn't pin it down to insecurity. There are other supporting or intervening social infrastructure that, if they had been in place, would have. I mean, people fight wars. If you went to India, you wouldn't find real evidence of their protracted battles with Pakistan, for example. In fact, you would rather see evidence of natural disasters, the typhoons and stuff like that. But in terms of, India was fighting Pakistan and they were constructing, they were building. It is only Nigeria that when one thing happens, everything is brought to a halt.
Yeah.
It's like somebody sang a song for me many years ago, which I didn't know the meaning, but I think now I know. That when children want to go to school, they say, Alelo, kolelo, alelo, kolelo. You know, one go school, make we go school, we no go. Make we go school, we no. So, and what is the reason? For the flimsiest of excuses, you will say you can't go. And that's where we are. When the statistics of out of school children was released, for example, it wasn't because of Boko Haram. They were attitudinal. Even if insecurity was brought to an end, you will still have to deal with attitudinal and cultural issues that make immunization unaccepted. Okay, so let's deal with the fundamental things. the insecurity that came along the way, may also go. But how about the core issues that 80,000 is quite a number, okay? It's quite a number.
All right, try this for size, Cyril. Man kills friend while testing bulletproof shot.
I read the story in Ondo.
Yeah.
What's the name of this village now? But the person on whom the charm was being tested was an ex-convict.
Nemesis.
Wait, before I even talk about this story, the one fella told us many years ago about in an interview granted to the news editors in prison, the likes of Dakpo Yomi, I think Bayo Onuga and so on, had been taken to Ikoyi prison, and we are fortunate to share a cell with fella. So they did an interview with him and smuggled it out. Fela said that he wanted to test a charm, and I think it was Dr. Orefa Lomo that told him, no, now let's try it on a dog also. So he Oga Jones, when they carry gun fire the animal, the bullet enter. The bullet enter. The thing no work. So now when they fired on the guy, when the subordinate fired on, because of course the guy is also thought to be a cult leader, a cultist. So they fired the gun on him. The thing quiet, he can't die. One bullet. The charm no work. Now the other man begin run.
Sorry.
What do you need this kind of thing for?
Oh dear. Okay, at this one, Delta governor indicts Lagos hospital over doctor's death in elevator.
Expectedly. Expectedly so. Now, let me even come to that story. The medical guild has now come out to say that the company that was even given the contract to install the elevators had no experience. They gave the name, but I wouldn't give it to avoid legal issues on VOPFM. They gave the name they had, and that even when the elevator was installed, tests were not carried out. This is according to the medical guild. They didn't test. And that as at then, the lack of the testing elevator was attributed. Hear this. Try this for Citizens Jones. Was attributed to lack of power supply. And now let's even come closer. As early as 2020. The medical guild tweeted and said this thing was a death trap, and that were we going to wait until somebody died? That this elevator didn't work. It was a death trap. People entered that thing praying and hoping, and just 10 floors. And when the sad incident happened, the governor's wife said it was an arrow that was fired.
What a statement.
I rest my case.
All right. Edo community cries out as kidnappers abduct 5.
What's the name of the community now? I can't.
Let them buy the paper and read.
But of course they are crying to the governor saying, but the way out, the community is crying. I want to believe they have a vigilance group, or they could put a vigilance group together and find a way to strengthen. The governor can help them to strengthen the vigilance group, intelligence gathering. I mean, five persons can't be kidnapped by outsiders entirely. I know there's talk about the rampaging herdsmen, but in that community in particular, but more can be done. I want to believe that they've cried to Governor Baseki. He can spare them some time from pursuing the impeachment of his deputy and see how we can give them a listening ear.
All right. Cyril, let's go to your state, Rivers, now. Wike ran to APC to save political career. This is from party chieftain.
He is not a member of the APC. He's not a member of the APC. If you say he aligned with the APC, of course. You see, the issue of Wike joining ranks with the APC is just a matter of the headlines we read. I think that there are more intricate, more underlying issues involved. Wike is a politician. He's been in politics since 1999 or earlier. He's been a local government chairman, which means he understands grassroots terrain very well. He's been a former chief of staff to a governor, and he's been a minister of state. So this is the man who has, and then he has been a governor also.
He's gone through the mill.
So yeah, sure. So if he took a gamble that even paid off, but the fact remains that there is more than meets the eye in the wiki to APC dalliance.
All right, brings our time to 7:30, and that's radio time. This is the Voice of the People Radio, VOP 90.3 FM, and the program is Newspaper Headliners. Cyril, The Guardian next. War looms in Nigeria's backyard.
Of course, war looms. Yesterday, the Arewa Consultative Forum wrote to the president to say that they warned the president. The headline said warned. The body of the story said admonished. So they were not persuading him. They were not advising him. They were not cajoling him. It was not a case of suasion. It was a case of blunt language. And that speaks volume. When these things happen, people need to sit up and take notice. The statement I read didn't particularly condemn the coup. Or at least, let me say, the portion of what I read didn't condemn the coup in Niger. Citizen. The statement referred to the good neighborly relations Nigeria has had with Niger and why it will not be wise for the president to deploy forces in Niger. So this is more like they are our brothers, leave us alone. That's one. Number two is, like I said earlier, we don't have the might to take on this problem. Otherwise, I can assure you that even if ECOWAS wasn't going to come to the party, Nigeria has a bounden duty. Look, it was President Monroe of America, James Monroe. I think he was the fifth president. Of America, who said that America and all her underlying territories round about here are no-go areas.
To the enemy.
To the enemy. Do you recall that in 1961, Russia, the Soviet
Union
deployed nuclear warheads on Cuba.
Yeah.
Cuba is an island, right? On Cuba, or in Cuba. And America said deploying nuclear warheads in Cuba is a declaration of war.
On the U.S.
On the U.S. The thing is that long years of corruption and the weakening of state institutions and the lack of evolution of state values and the lack of national philosophy, Nigerians have stopped thinking as African leaders. We've stopped thinking about it. We no longer see ourselves as a power to reckon with. You know the story of the eagle in that very old story, that the eagle, after he was born, was put among chicken in a pen or in a poultry farm. So the eagle never flew. So somebody came on and said, do you know who you are? You are an eagle. You're not supposed to be playing with these chickens. Took him to the mountain top. He came back to the farm. Took him to the rooftop. He came back to the farm. The person said, no, you don't belong here. He kept him until one day the eagle flew and never came back again, because the eagle's altitude is not on the ground.
Yeah.
The fact that, and let me even say this very, very bluntly, if Nigerian intelligence didn't suspect or didn't know that this sort of thing was going to happen in Niger, and didn't or couldn't play a part in foiling it, we're in danger. The president spoke instructively at the meeting where he was elected ECOWAS chairman. He said that this scramble for Africa must end. He then also said that the end had come to coups in Africa. A week or so later, they dared him in Niger. So, and you're telling me that, come on. You see, perception is a problem. Because now, Nigerians, perhaps, I don't know, but how we perceive our president matters in how we take what he says. And like I said earlier, Nigerians no longer see themselves as Africa's saviors. Nigeria almost single-handedly liberated South Africa, liberated Uganda, liberated Zimbabwe. On the day they granted what that was Nelson Mandela freedom from jail, Nigerian schools declared public holiday. Nigeria declared public, say everybody go home. Mandela has been freed, because we knew that we were the arrowheads of that nation. Wasn't not Sonny Okoso or one of the that turned literally turned his musical career into songs to help liberate South Africa. Okay, That's one. Number two, the likes of Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma, and so on, all came to Nigeria to come and take hibernation when they were being pursued by the apartheid regime. Mugabe and his armies came to Kaduna to train how to fight guerrilla warfare in their country. Uganda also. So then Liberia, Sierra Leone, and so on, all the end of their war. So Nigeria, when Babangida deployed forces in Ekomog, and now, after many years, we are now going back to where we're now going back beneath where we were before, and people are applauding. Let me ask you, if this can happen on your own soil, I hope you will applaud. Will you applaud? Will you be happy? Will you regret it? Let's wake up and think as we should be thinking. I have said it before. We may not have what it takes. You see, when people like the ACF, I know Bodejo has also written against it. He said as a retired general, he was not in support of war. Atiku is speaking against it. Everybody speaks, but I can tell the reality on the ground is stuck. It's stuck.
Serious, except that the tragedy of war is that it uses man's best to do man's worst.
Of course.
It's unfortunate.
Of course.
All right, quickly to the Nation newspaper. How Obaseki has been humiliating me by Edo deputy governor.
Citizen. Oh, well, they've had, like I said, that the marriage looked like one that was made in heaven, at least for the public eye, for this long. But believe me, it won't be more than the quest for whether Shaibu, right? Philip Shaibu will be able to succeed in, because this is the same game over and over again.
It's all about a succession and all that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the same game over and over again.
All right, Keyamo, Bunkure nominated as ministers, Shetima dropped.
Yeah, Mariam Shetty Ibrahim. Yeah. Shetima Ibrahim, probably called Shetty. We've talked about it earlier. She may have to wait for another day. All
right. Tinubu writes Senate on ECOWAS's plan against Niger.
And going for, of course, he needs the Senate to approve. Now, my calculation is that if this is a Senate that will work with the president cordially, and I put that in quotes, if you know what I mean, if they're going to have an amicable relationship with the president, especially in light of what the Senate president himself had said, that they were here to support the president and to give him the very best, he could count on them. They were there to give him all that he would need.
They may be on the same page?
They may be on the same page after all. Usually, since they're from the same party, it could well be that before the letter even went, they should have had informal communications. But the Senate could give the approval, and then let's see where that, because tomorrow, which is the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima, August 6th. Yes, yeah. Fired by a little man, August 6th, and on Tuesday. Tuesday will be the
9th on Nagasaki.
8th on 6th and 8th.
Okay.
Yes, on Nagasaki. Incidentally, call it historical coincidence, historical accident, but it's tomorrow the 6th that is the deadline that ECOWAS has given the junta to return the president.
Yeah, to power.
It's funny, really, the politics of the coup in Niger. Let me add this to it. America has not recognized what happened in Niger as a coup yet, which would have meant a sequestering or a severing of support aids and so on. Then the other fact is the president has been tweeting, and in fact he wrote a piece in Washington Post yesterday or 2 days ago, where he said he was writing as a hostage. So I don't know what's really in the bargain.
The President Bazoum.
Bazoum. So shall I say ousted President Bazoum? I really don't know what's in the bargain. Is it that his public relations people are the ones putting these things out, or the junta is giving him all the room to be tweeting and writing articles in? Because I know when a leader is deposed,
he's cut off.
He's cut off, and he most likely has to seek asylum. He could come to Nigeria, he could go to anywhere, seek asylum. But the drama in Niger is a little bit more than so.
All right. Another story in the Nation is this one. Should interest you. Elevator accident. Lagos panel to submit report today.
They ought to. I'm glad that they're able to submit the report this quick. Let's hope that. You see, when punishment is deferred and delayed, it encourages bad behavior. It encourages this negligence. This negligence should be punished. Dr. Vaire Diaso didn't die. She was killed. She didn't die. She was killed. I read yesterday somewhere that a family source, craving anonymity, told the media that told maybe a journalist that the family was there to be formally even contacted. We commiserate, we sympathize with them. They have our condolences. We hope that they find the fortitude to bear this loss. It is not an easy thing, you know, to train a doctor. To train a doctor in this, I mean, train a doctor and all the high hopes and everything, and then she's caught in her prime.
Death was avoidable.
It's not.
It was completely avoidable.
It was a killing. It was not a death.
Okay.
It was a man-made kill. It was a killing. It was not a death. She didn't die. She was killed.
How about this? Exclusive breastfeeding. Federal government set to approve 6-month maternity leave.
a lady behind that's not in the microphones is chuckling in this studio.
It concerns that.
Yeah, but we have to commend the federal government for this is a family-friendly policy, which should be commended, quite frankly speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
To the sun now, 21 minutes to 8, that's the time. Tinubu replaces ministerial nominee from Kano, names Keyamo Mariga Mahmoud nominee.
The president will do anything it is to save Kano, to keep Kano in the bag. Kano matters. If not for anything, for the politics of it, Kano matters. You know, when the Joseph for Senate presidency was hottest, the current Senate Vice Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Jibril Barau, said it publicly, point blank. He said, Kano must be in the bargain. Because if there was no high-ranking officer from Kano in the government, the party will lose face. And that will be detrimental. The president took notice of the statement.
Yeah.
The party sat up, yes.
Cyril, aren't you shocked that Kwankwaso is missing in action?
There must be a reason for it.
Okay.
All right. There must be a reason for
another story here. ABGA urges federal government to expedite action on palliative.
All Progressives Grand Alliance.
Yeah.
Well, it's the call everyone has been making. But if the feelers from the labor unions are anything to go by, it is unfortunate because what they've said is that they've been going to bargaining with empty chairs. They've gone. The committee on wage has not even been inaugurated by the government, and what we're seeing government do, it leaves much to be desired. It appears that the only thing they were prepared to do was to take subsidy away. All else has become all else. You know. But my advice is government should put people first.
Yeah.
Be a people government. Don't be a government of talk and policy. Be a government of people.
Okay, straight now to the This Day newspaper. FG moves to boost generation with 1,350 megawatts Abuja power plant.
That should be isn't that the Gwagwalada power plant project that they were talking about?
Yeah.
And it was going and so whenever I read these stories, government too. Yes, they are planning to, but I enjoy the headlines that a government has, and then the part where people can come out and publicly testify and say, indeed, what government said it has done, it has done, and we are enjoying it. We are experiencing it. You know, we can report real time, because eventually, it is the people's own experience of what government says it has done that counts. Government cannot just talk about what they're planning to do, because for a long time they've been planning to do a lot of things that have not been done, or which even when they appear to have been done, remained largely non-functional, largely malfunctioning, largely inoperable. But if government has done anything, I think people can testify to it, can attest and say, indeed, we can see for ourselves, and we know we are living witnesses of what the impact of this project is and what it has brought to the table and how it has particularly changed our lives. In this era of subsidy palaver. The most important things people are looking for is food and transportation. Now, power plays an important part in making these possible, but in reality, if it is still government planning to, then it means that this one is a minus for now. We cannot put it in the back end. We can't plan with it until it has fully come on stream. So thank God they're planning to do it, but how soon and how long, how fast can we hope that it is done?
Okay. Cyril, let's apply the brakes here. You know, time is tight. And swing the microphone over to the listener. Which story or stories caught your fancy? How do you react to it or to them? Let's get you on the air now. 0700 903 903 and 903. Go straight to the point, please. Mind your language. Very, very important. Don't shoot from the hip. And language must be continent. That's all. So 0700 903 903 903. What story or stories caught your fancy? Still, you read these stories and you're wondering if they are true.
Yeah, several of them. You know, you ask yourself whether we are serious, whether we are a nation of values, whether we are interested in moving forward.
I have a first caller here. Good morning to you.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Michael Oguche.
Okay.
I am
Reverend Gentleman. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm calling from Birmingham, England.
Okay then. Welcome.
So my problem is what's going on in Mali. In Niger. I am so worried, and I believe that most people in diaspora are worried because there's so much going on that in Nigeria that it looks like that's not enough problems, that we're looking elsewhere to go and cause trouble. And first of all, I'm very unhappy that the first thing Nigeria would do to Niger is to turn off the electricity. It didn't happen here in Europe in this way when the problem with Russia started. Russia continued to supply gas to the EU, and then negotiation continued. That is what I think should have been one of the things that the government should do.
All right.
Secondly, when you look at the presence of the foreign forces, like the United States with 800 troops and French with 1,000 plus, and then the drone station in Niger, with all of this, we still have Boko Haram and all the other evil forces around. So what exactly are they doing there? And I think for me, even though I do not stand for coup, I think that what the French is doing to Francophone Africa is not a good thing at all. For example...
Doctor, except that you are entitled to 60 seconds. But thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cyril, he sure has a point there.
Of course, he does have a point there. And, okay.
Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, I greet you. Your name, where are you calling from?
This is Christopher, known as M Scientist from Alabado.
All right, Chris, let's go.
I want to contribute on the issue, firstly on the death of a medical doctor in Lagos.
Okay.
For me, it's negligent and politicization in Nigeria, most especially in Lagos.
Politicization of what?
If politicization of everything, especially this medical hospital. For me, hospital should be, our government should be appointing technocrats on a social area of hospital and some better areas, not a politician or party man. Because if the taking responsibility of this hospital.
Yeah, but it's safe to say, let's wait for the report of the panel set up by the government to deal with that. Thank you. Thank you. Your 60 seconds are out. Thank you. 0700 903 903 903. How do you react to the stories we shared with you? 60 seconds allotted to each respondent. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Your name, where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Femi. I'm calling from Istanbul.
Please
I want
keep your radio or listening aid out of it, please. I beg you. I beg you. So we have a smooth discussion.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Leave it there. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Senior for his analysis of so-called coup in Niger.
Is it
so-called? This is another form of scandal.
Go on.
This is another scandal for Africa. Unfortunately, the institutions in Nigeria are so weak. They are so weak. It's very, very unfortunate. I don't know to the extent that these people will go in their next target, apart from Niger. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks. Straight to the point. 0700 903 903 903. Cyril, these are times that try men's souls.
I want to add a few words to what Reverend Oguche said from Birmingham.
Just a minute. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cyril Jones.
I greet you, sir.
This is Chinedu calling from Badagry.
Chinedu, you are on now.
Yes, concerning the coup in Niger. Yes, quickly, our president quickly collected the chairmanship of ECOWAS. And when it happened, he should remember that his soul is still undecided. And for now, it's illegal to start giving orders unnecessarily, even to the extent of writing the Senate, whether they will pursue the whole thing with military order. And another thing, the idea of cutting off their line, or just quickly, without even
understanding electricity supply.
The electricity supply. It's not tenable. You know, this politics of vendetta, orchestrated by these very people, it will cause a lot of problems. Why should you cut their life so quick without even understanding anything, without even tabling it before the House of the Senate? This is a way to pay them back. This is politics of vendetta, and you can't just bring this type of something to Nigeria. What if other countries decide doing such a thing to Nigeria? How would we feel? This is a life that is being enjoyed by the entire country of Niger. Quickly, because you are the chairman, you try to cut their liability. This is politics of wickedness. I don't subscribe to it. Thank you very much.
Okay then. 0700 903 903 903. You were talking about the doctor from Birmingham.
Like the doctor, like the caller from Badagry now. They are looking at the humanitarian side of things, which I do understand, of course. But who are the people who went to destroy telecom masts in their own country? Who are they? So, and then the fact that if America has soldiers, France also has soldiers. Please, whatever Russia, America, and France are doing should be the play of the big boys. We have a duty to defend democracy and defend our own civilization.
Yeah.
That is the real issue.
And all told, leadership in Africa should buck up.
Simple.
Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes. Is it a madam?
I'm Franca.
Franca, I greet you. Welcome.
Yes, I'm a woman.
Okay then.
I'm Franca.
Franca, I can hear me over your radio. Put off your radio. I'll keep it out of it.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me put it off.
Please.
Please. What I'm talking is we should not go to Niger at all. We should not go. It is not our business. I know our president is the chairman of ECOWAS. We should not go there. Because if he send 10 soldiers there, 10 soldiers will not come back. We don't want to go and waste our men, waste our boys for nothing there. Please, we have our own problem in Nigeria. Let us face it. We should advise the president not to attempt it to send our soldiers there. Because we don't want our boys to go there and die for nothing. Please, this should not happen. No. This is my own. No.
Thank you, Sister Franca. We'll end it here. Thank you. Cyril, Saturday week, today week, we'll ask you to please hold on for the next show.
It's okay.
That's it on newspaper headliners for this morning. 5 minutes to go to 8 o'clock. Please stick around.
Are you looking for the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos, number 42, Muritala Muhammad International Airport Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in a beautifully appointed rooms featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your everyday need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop-off from the Lagos airport.
Take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant.
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So, why wait? Book your stay today and experience ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and cold berry ice cream, delights in every scoop. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and cold berry ice cream at 11 Road by First Avenue, Festac Town, 28 at Denira Ogunsanya Street, Surulere, 13 Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1. Romeo's Pizza and cold berry ice cream. Romeo, the pizza champions.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up
Now, folks, our second offering will be Citizen Jones this morning. We look at contemporary Nigeria and the issues thrown up by that Nigeria. This morning, political appointments, a cross between competence and political correctness. I think this is about the second time in as many months we're dealing with a subject matter of this nature. So a textbook meaning of the phrase political correctness is the principle of avoiding behavior and sometimes language that may offend particular groups of people, period. But recall that a cynic once reminded us that there were two pillars to the phrase, namely a willful ignorance, that's A, and B, a steadfast refusal to face the truth. In our near 63 years of, some would insist, a flag and anthem independence, the barefaced tyranny of political correctness has dogged our path to greatness, that today we fail to see that political correctness is neither political nor correct. That things in my country are done in a manner that should not ruffle feathers or provoke a bellyache is very unfortunate indeed. Never mind the fact that ministerial list was sent to the 10th National Assembly at the last minute, so to speak. Only that many of the names on the list are not surprising. Sometimes you wonder if it is not an anticlimax. The screening of nominees was, to say the least, dispiriting. Apart from the proverbial take a bow ritual, some questions to nominees were either jejune, simplistic, or superficial. Yes, we are in a hurry to retool, put on our boots, and hit the road. But it does not say we should allow political correctness to becloud our collective sense of judgment. How do I explain to my children and their children that impunity and the devil-may-care attitude has taken over the land of the Shoinkas, the Chinua Achebes, and the Jibril Aminus? So where is the place of good old competence in all of this? I have two gentlemen who have lived through it and are living through it, braving the odds, and they hasten to share their perspectives here. We have gladly delayed Cyril Abaku. Cyril, thank you for holding on.
My pleasure, anytime, Citizen James.
Chartered accountant, national affairs commentator, Akin Fatunke has joined us too. Akin, good morning.
Good morning, Citizen Jones. Good morning, Cyril. I dare say good morning, Nigerians and friends of Nigeria listening to us. Nice to be here.
Yes, gentlemen. Political appointments, a cross between competence and political correctness.
Okay, so let me jump in. It's more of political correctness to me than competence. So that now means that competence has been thrown overboard? Not exactly. In what President Bola Tinubu has done, in my honest opinion, we've had what I'll describe as the good, seemingly bad that can be made good, and perhaps the utmost ugly, which may not be easy to retrieve. I make two very important points here. Politics as a game is defined as who gets what, where, and when. And
what about how?
Of course, how. The how, when, where, and the where without. Now, quite a number of times, common sense is put behind the cat. I'm talking about which one comes first, the cat or the horse. In our peculiar democracy, I call it peculiar democracy. Wumble and fumble, whether we are direct, whether in the last 22 years, 20 years plus, we've made some progress, or not made some progress in other areas. It's just some other contention. to say realistically that a president in Nigeria in 2023, in 2024, the next 4 years, perhaps the next 8 years, I pray I'm wrong, will not use political expediency in his choice, will be to be lying through our teeth. One, political IOUs have to be repaid one way or the other. But for this set of people that we look at and say, what exactly will this guy contribute? How will he contribute it? What kind of moral ethics does he or she bear? We must not forget that this same guy, this same lady, was at the forefront of fighting to install, so to speak, that incumbent. Without him or her acting as at the time he or she acted, the president would not have been there. For instance, one of the uglies that we seemingly see will be the spate of governors that has come on the bandwagon. These were governors when all others, including perhaps me and perhaps you, are still sitting on the fence and we're discussing the issue of rotation, that stood up and said, look, fair is fair. We should have the unwritten code of rotating. They stood their ground. They went against, the party big boys and big girls that we call cabals, and then insisted that it has to change. And they stood their ground and went to the then president, Muhammad Buhari, and said, that's the way it should be. Does it therefore mean, if I say between 0, President Jones, and 100%, within the politicians themselves, I think there is some competence that can be brought to bear. But if you have an Achilles heel, by Achilles heel, I mean you have a baggage that you haven't done well, maybe in your previous posting, your previous assignment or call to duty. We can debate that. We can take that to court. Quite a number are in court, and my expectation, therefore, will be for the Senate itself to act as the sieving ground, lest it be turned into a rubber stamp. The ugly aspect of what I have seen will be if these gentlemen and ladies have passed through the mill of being checked, security-wise, ethics-wise, they have their hands and legs gone into the field, or the fact that they are qualified educationally and morally. In my own honest opinion, I do not think we have done well at all.
All right.
So that will be my opener.
Cyril, how do you open?
Well, my thoughts are to say, first of all, that within the 60-day window allotted the president to constitute his cabinet, or as it were, nominees for ministerial appointment, I think that if these were the persons that he had in mind all along, there was no need to. I mean, the cabinet list could have been ready the day after, could have been ready a week after. We could have been done and dusted with this high and dry long ago, but we didn't. And eventually, I like the way Mr. Fatwenke did come to the question referring to IOUs. I think that is where the bogging down has really taken place. The list is overweight with ex-governors, several political associates whom I believe the president has known for as long as he has known them. Then, of course, there are a few.
So you are wondering if it is competence or compensation?
No, this is more a list that reflects compensation,
all right,
than it does competence. At the twilight of the administration, of the
previous one,
the previous one, a lot of these governors have become ex-governors, having come to power 15, 19, The point was that there was a reckless debt profile that these governors had abandoned their states in. And I'm wondering if they were that good in their states that they didn't turn into El Dorado, what is the miracle that they're going to work because the impression was very strongly given that when the president, was sworn into office, he was going to scout, go around the world, look for the most and you have to give it to him. The likes of, is it Doctor, Professor, two of the nominees, Tunji Alausa, did I get the name correct? Dr. Alausa, anyway, the Lagos nominee, as well as Ale Pate,
Professor.
Professor Pate from Gavi. Of course, he was Jonathan's minister, but then he's back now. So you could almost count them on the fingers of one hand. But in terms of the preponderance, I think that we could have done better. Now, as it is, we are where we are, and a lot of these people are going to go
where we are by choice.
Of course, by choice. We're going to. There was one in particular who flourished 2 credits, right? Is it 2 or 3? 2.
And got admitted.
Yes, and
into a university.
Well, the question is not. The Senate has its own portion of the blame, because they should have insisted and said, "Go and get the other credits you said you have. Let's see them before we pass you." But the question is, the person who nominated him should have done the background checks. There was the mandatory DSS, EFCC, whatever checks that should have taken place. If they certified him as qualified, if the presidency that said, because from the time the list was announced, was made public, they had between Friday and the Monday when they whatever started to submit their credentials to the presidency for onward transmission to the Senate. So, didn't we do the due diligence? If they've, in any case, he has been told to take the bar and go away. So,
Cyril, does it not bother you that we're like this?
No, it bothers me. But I think I won't be bothered beyond the border of wisdom. Because we have seen this pattern over and over and over again. We live in a country where a president's certificate was a controversy till he left office. A country where our former CJN had his certificate eaten by rats. So now I should be bothered by a minister. I think in your own intro you said we've lived through it and we're living through it. There's a minimum level of worry that I want to brook in this matter. But the fact is the president has made his nominations clear. If we were a country where we couldn't predict what was going to happen, if we're a country where the Senate could wield its power and say this person couldn't pass, then we could have a robust debate. But right now, and it's not just that person who had credit. There's another letter that was written to the Senate. At least I know of one. Stella Okotete. They were saying that, look, this lady went to she didn't have a pass. She went to Uniport, did a remedial program. From where she went to Benson Dawson University to do direct entry, and maybe didn't pass the then she. So I'm not accusing her, but I'm just saying what the letter that was written to the Senate said. So hey, am
I surprised? Jones, I'm not surprised. If we could forge jam, forge certificates like this, and if we could be given annual awards or citizens awards, people who are dead and all that, it therefore means that the rigor to really do what is right is lacking. And Cyril, I dare say, political expediency again comes into the picture. Getting with you that the box stops on the president's table, where there was a lot of night of long knives. The governors at the different blocks will have to debate between themselves who should go in, who should not go in, and what have you. Look at the peculiar case of the nominee, the very young gentleman from Benue State, intimidating credentials, I dare say. However, the foundation was weak. At the age of 3, he entered he entered a primary school, and you could see how Abamoro and the Benue caucus were trying to defend to high heavens, but for Senator Abiru, who naturally and unexpectedly would not want to shoot the apple cart, said, "Look, let's look at this and let's look at this again." I am not making a prediction, since Jones and dear Nigerians, but it will be very hard sell, even if it goes on, for such a nominee to pass. It will be a very hard sell. Now, I am reminded of Goodluck Jonathan's period, where he submitted 33 names, which included 9 people from Umar Yar'Adua's time. Yar'Adua himself, in 2007, submitted 39 names. Okay, I'm going to draw a bit of a parallel. Okay, which had 32 men and 7 women. The ubiquitous Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999 submitted 42 names. 42 names, and eventually pruned that to 27 names at his first outing, and a whooping 40. We have President Bola Tinubu submitting. We are counting 47 names. Looks like 48 now.
48, yeah.
Okay.
I predicted 50 actually.
As a political scientist and analyst, my thought is just my thought. My thought is that he has decided to submit 47 names, but not necessarily appoint at the end of the day 47, because his expectations is that, well, like you say in football, let's have a reserve bench. Should one get injured, should one get a key leg and stuff like that, I can quickly replace without necessarily now waiting for. But all put together, we'll wait to see what the Senate will eventually do. I am aware that a couple of ones are now being referred to the other committees that might look critically at them. But like you said, sometimes rather than take the rigor and give the reasons why some people might not float in until Mr. President himself really insisted, we know the buck has passed on there. My expectation is that that should happen. We have 48 names. I am not sure. I'm not expecting 48 ministers. I am not expecting 48 ministers. And if that should happen, well, again, one of those things we'll not be able to explain. But for a strategist, I say a corporate strategist, somebody who has a corporate experience in strategy, you don't put all your eggs in one basket and then expect all of them will be your first 11 at any point in time. Having said that, I have to also give it to the fact that, yes, we have relative good number of representation from women. We have relative good number of representation from the youths. I see beyond the party. I see in the critical area of finance, Wale, for instance, and he is a very good bridge between the old and the young, and who knows a lot of his audience and who has a lot of competence. I'm using him as an example. I'm also very careful. I can only be very careful because everybody is angry that people will come up with, much thinking here and there. If you do not have a certificate, it's out there in the open. The onus is for you to prove that you don't have a certificate, and you could be removed by a president who is a man of his own conviction.
Yeah, Aki, but remember a former number 4 man in the country who apologized to the country for not having the requisite qualifications, went back to school. But Cyril, mine is this. Is this attitude of lowering the bar not cast in stone already? And does it not portend danger for us?
In fact, I had said during the paper review that everybody now believes he is qualified to be a minister. everybody. Gone are those days when people, would have worked long years in the corporate world, and government will even go and beg them and say, please come and help us fix this problem, come and work. Of course, a cabinet will normally have politicians and technocrats. The reason being that politicians are mindful of the next election. So ideally, they want to serve, they want to deliver on certain in certain key areas to make sure that people can vote for their party again. But I remember that the president's chief of staff did say, after the first list of 28 persons had been submitted, Mr. Fatuk, I'm coming to what you said earlier, that more ministries could be created to accommodate.
Yeah.
Not in those words, but accommodate what I want to borrow Mr. Fatunke's words and the IOUs.
Those on the bench.
Yes. So if government is even looking to create more ministries, it means that we are broadening, because of course you put a minister there, he's going to have a PA, technical advisor, so let's just put it at 7 to 10 aides around him. This job for the boys. This is the reality of politics. But in actual fact, the question is, when are we going to turn the bend? When are we going to round this bend properly and fully? I know this president is a tactician, is a tested and proven political tactician. He's a political strategist, core strategist.
Let me just announce it's 22 past 8. Go on.
Okay. But this is Abuja, this is the center of the country, and we're seeing that there's a strong pull and push effect when it comes to interest that he's trying to balance. And so it must be taken and carried very carefully. But again, the point is, how now do we draw the line between people who feel entitled to political office and those who sincerely have the passion, sincerely have the determination to make a difference? And this is without prejudice to the fact that, our ex-governor is someone who is eminent to qualify to be minister. But again, we can look at track record and ask quick questions about what the deliverables are going to be, especially in light of the times we find ourselves in. Governor El Rufai is there. In the past, he was a technocrat. Now he's a politician. Former Governor Bako of Simon Lalong of Plateau is there. Former Governor Dave Umahi, he's the senator. I was wondering why, he had to be enlisted again as minister, but it's fine. Former Governor Umahi is there. Former Governor Badaro of Jigawa. Former Governor Wiki of Rivers State.
Don't forget Bagudu, that
Atiku Bagudu
allegedly has some few baggage, and Mutawali of Zamfara.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the truth is that let's face it. From where I sit, it doesn't look right. Susan Jones, it doesn't look like the kind of hope that one should be looking
to be renewed.
Towards. It doesn't also help.
Again, because we are not raising the bar.
And if we don't raise the bar, then the bar will lower and then catapult us into some kind of oblivion. With due respect, I see what is happening in the West African sub-region, the spate of coups and coups because of governance not being straight, and because people are really not listening.
I think you are talking about coups. We have had our fair share of coups and counter coups to have learned one or two lessons.
Okay, so like the Bourbons of France, we have refused to learn. I think that is most unfortunate. Cyril, if I go by what you have just said, it therefore means that our leaders are not listening. We cannot, and we all know that we cannot afford a fat, over-bloated government. We are dealing with 36 or 37, according to the Constitution, which I still fall. That I don't think we need up to that kind of level of persons to run our country.
Doesn't it?
Awolowo did not run the Western region and got what he got with all too many people.
America, close to 300 million strong, has 18 secretaries in all, and nobody is belly aching. No part of the country is drawing rain. As
in Achebes, the trouble with Nigeria, he said that he dared, he was there in the Shagari government. He said there was no ministry or no parastatal of the federal government that had the best man for the job manning the post. This was 1982. He said he dared the government to tell him which person was manning which post that was the best man for that position. And there was none. So now...
So it's been a long time coming.
And politics, you see, the thing is...
It's been a long time coming. The best to be on the post is either a vice, is a second person or third person. Political expediency will be the rough federation that we are running comes into force, that you cannot be elected to be the president of a country if you do not get substantial buy-in of some other parts, not necessarily as co-partners on the fray. If Achebe said that, like you rightly said, again, I've seen situations where right from the bottoms coming up, even when competition is such that the best is shown in a fair deal, at the end of the day, those who are third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh on the line becomes your boss. When it comes to federal appointments and what have you. The solution to me is simple. I've always been broaching this subject. We must have to do a practical restructuring of the country for us to be able to go. So we can go at our different levels, grow at our different levels, and then we come to the center to do some putting in and sharing as fair as we can.
Yeah, Cyril, we have talked about raising the bar. Who helps to raise this bar?
No, the president has to take the lead in that regard. There's no need to sugarcoat it. There's a reason why you're a leader, and there's a reason why Harry Truman, the 33rd president of the US, made that famous statement, said the buck stops on my table. He never once blamed his advisors for bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He said he did it, and that if he had the chance to do the same thing, given the same circumstances, he will do it again.
That is leadership and not rulership.
Exactly. That's
and
a man
so who takes the lead. He says the president, I agree with him absolutely. The governors, I also agree that it has to come to that level, up to the family level, where we have father, mother, and stuff like that. We must be seen to be taking the fairest and the most equitable decision without fear of whose horse is God.
Akin, in this regard, you have also heard that a team is as good as a leader.
Of course it is.
A team is as good as a leader. Again, in the rough democracy we are practicing, I think it was Obasanjo that made an attempt at one point in time to ruffle feathers. Almost invariably, shout of going to be impeached or not going to be impeached ran the air. I remember the Atiku Abubakar saga. Atiku Abubakar became so strong, rallied the governors around him. So political expediency needs to be balanced. And this quest that I have a first term, I must be going for the second term again.
It's not necessary.
It's not helping. It's not helping us. Come in there, put in your legacy, do the best that you can, do the restructure, and we are home and dry. If Obasanjo, for instance, I keep on saying it, if Obasanjo looked at himself as saying, look, I'm going to do a one term, having been a military head of state, and he took very drastic decisions as of 1999, I am so sure we'll not be where we are, but then that is in the past. Now we are in the present. If President Bola Tinubu is a man of his own, and he is not, there's no entitlement whatsoever, I think he should be bold enough, without necessarily saying that he wants to come for the second term, and do what is right for Nigeria, and then we'll be able to pick it up from there.
And he just talked about being a man of his own. And it would appear that Nigerians are avowed of anybody who wants to be his own man.
Of course they are, especially if that image has been sold to them over time. The Bola Tinubu that I personally began to, shall I say, know? That I began to know and appreciate over the years. Let me even go back to, of course, generationally, I'm the youngest in this room. So, yes, but...
I don't know. Show me your certificate.
I'll go for 2K.
If it is not being...
I'm not up to 40, so...
Says who?
I'm not up to 40.
I'm pulling your leg. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure, of course. So,
besides, it's not before the Senate.
Excuse me. So, it won't take a bow and go away. Now... when I was in university, was when the Pronaco conference took place in Lagos, and we followed those proceedings quite closely. Bola Tinubu has always been at the forefront of the quest for restructuring. Then, I mean, the restructuring is even actually a euphemism. The language was fiscal federalism. This was the governor who carried this campaign so much on his own. Obasanjo even went as far as blocking Lagos State funds back then. There was the creation of LCDAs
for 16 months.
16 months, because of course President Bola Tinubu then, as governor of Lagos, wanted the state to control its resources. This whole thing is not new, but if you look at his campaign trajectory, the things he said during the campaign, his inauguration speech, and ever since he became president, it appears that there's been a fundamental shift from the issues that we thought we knew him for, to some other sort of issues. But now, as president, let's say it is often said that you campaign in poetry but govern in prose. He is president now. He can now begin to interpret or bring to the table the things he personally believes in and stands for. Okay, which is to say that we must go back to where we were when things were working.
Especially now that we are retooling.
Exactly. He called it renewed hope. I was thinking that there will be a groundwork to a new Nigeria.
Cyril.
Yes.
There's always a moment of reality. When you're a passenger in the bus or in the plane, and then you can say, oh, you should have turned right, you should have turned left, and stuff like that. Then when you get on the cockpit, onto the driving wheel itself, for you to now realize, things are not as I thought it was going to be. I'm only trying to make a bit of an excuse. But the truth of the matter is that can you be your own man in a country where you have multifaceted, different interests? The interest of certain section is different from the interest of the other section. And in any case, if you are going to want to make a drastic change, it's not something that you can do by fire. You still have to go through National Assembly who either agree or disagree. For the life of me, all the senators that we have always had have always not spoken in one same direction. Directionally, from the perspective of the fact that we are not looking at ourselves as equal partners. Please pardon me, the Southeast, for instance, is one of the things that they have always clamored for. Even though you say they don't have the land area, they don't have equal representation in number that goes to the Senate versus, say, the Southwest. And for that matter, the Incopos not. So if you now subject a lot of these things to votes, your idea of wanting to do fiscal federalism may fall flat on its face. Unless we begin to see the osmotic effect of a few from the north, as an example, now being bought over and now being sold on the altar of reality. And the altar of reality that we have in Nigeria today is that the economy has always been in doldrums. And if Bola Tinubu came and was going to now begin to take very hard and harsh decisions that could, you could tinker with that and say maybe it could have been better planned and done, but they have to be done in any case, and we can have a quantum of revenue capacity generation in place, then we can then go to the next level. My point, therefore, is simple. We are wearing a rough jacket, and we cannot pretend to be straight. And the only way for us to be straight there is to look at this constitution that we have and then have a restructure. To continue to say that it's not negotiable is lying to ourselves. We are a different people. We are a different culture. We are a different language. Yes, we are bound by common hegemony, but at the end of the day, we should not be stifled in any way to go our different ways by way of a loose federation and still be able to contribute to the center. So it should be more of competence in terms of people that we are appointing. It should be more of competence by way of looking at our resource, the resource factor. It's a way of competence by making sure that if you do not produce, you do not eat. Pure and simple.
Okay, I shudder to think that we're living in Orwellian times. You know that political theorist George Orwell. He said, in a country where people keep voting in those who oppress them, they cannot at that point be said to be victims, but they are collaborators. So while we talk about leadership, it's pertinent to refer to followership here.
Of course, the following matters, but I think that in the Nigerian case, and I mean, we can look at this matter critically. The following in Nigeria has gone from victim to participant, but not willing participant all entirely. Participant in the sense that they've been left with no choice than to be on the front foot in this matter. We know how Babangida, for example, ran this country. Everything was money. At a point, people began to say, if this was even the way to go, then why not? Joseph Stalin in Russia did that famous example now, where he brought a chicken and said, see how you lead the people. He began to defeather the chicken until the chicken couldn't move. And so anywhere he threw some corn, some corn seedlings, the chicken ran out to eat. Nigerians have been so impoverished, have been so brutalized, have been so traumatized that we look for the next possible savior, next possible means of salvation. And let's be clear, not everybody shares our views in this studio.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about informing. I'm talking about people who are saying, leave them. That man are from my village. You believe that if the man gets that, you're going to get. So leave them alone. Just leave them first. Why are men of good opinion getting scarcer and scarcer by the day? And why is it that more and more Nigerians would rather pack the bags and walk away? The other day, you look at how Nigerian professionals are willing to pack the bags and go to Canada. Canada opened the doors and said, you can come without visa. But they still didn't put Nigeria because they knew that if they had done that, the day after, this Murtala Mohammed International Airport won't even be enough to carry the crowd.
It's not only Murtala Mohammed Airport that people take to go out.
Abuja,
through Libya, all that. Unfortunately, again, it comes down to governance, leading by example, having the courage to come on a round table and say, hey, gentlemen and ladies, this cannot continue. Well, attempts have been made to do that, but people are not listening. But we have gotten to the truth where the economy is now going to be the dictator, will be the dictate, or will be the one that will tell us that we can't continue the way we are going. It's so very obvious. And then my expectation that as at this point in time, and as at this moment in our history, statements have been made. I like to say the 2023 elections is a bit of a watershed. We have never had the kind of competitive spirit, albeit went a bit on the fourth line side. No doubt about that. We can shape that a little bit more. We are waiting for the pronouncement from the courts. And when that pronouncement then comes, I think my expectation is that winners will be winners, that should be supported to be winners. The losers, that could even be the incumbent president, will have to take their fate in their hands and support, whatever it is that the courts will pronounce. I shudder, though, that if it is not our own brand of democracy and if it does not favor our own thinking, our own fault lines, then it's not democracy. That should not be the thing. On the issue of the appointees, 48 of them, I still say, I will personally be surprised. Well, it won't be the first time I will get surprised that we are not likely to be having 48 ministers. I do not think President Bola Tinubu will be towing the path of renewed hope if he will now jettison the Oransanya report, okay, and then go ahead and appoint 48 ministers. I expect that this should be 48 people that have been screened, of which, say, for instance, 40 at the time of Obasanjo will now be available, for which it can pick a sizable number, a manageable number in alignment with the Constitution. The rest will be at the reserve bench, should in case anything happen, and all that. You don't need to go back to the Senate. Just go to your reserve and then plug in and put in there. I am expectant that, like Dr. Anele has said, the physically challenged too should have a voice in governance. We have very mightily talented people there that should be put in. If not now, let's see as we move into mid-game of the term, of the four-year term, that we can get that in place. But I pray for Nigeria. I believe in Nigeria, but it has to be a Nigeria that is realistic, that is workable, and that is justiciable, so that at the end of the day, this dividend of democracy should be on. Cyril, you are making a point that followership is not been slumbering. Yes, followership has not been slumbering. I know that if you give a good system to a Nigerian, a Nigerian will. Our electoral system should be sacrosanct in such a way that our voices, even those who cannot speak English, say for instance, and they are in a position to be saying that their voices are being heard.
Okay,
pure and simple.
I'd rather we rounded up our thoughts just so we swing the microphone over to the listener, because he wants. But in doing so, Cyril, you take the first plunge. After near 63 years of independence, we're still toddling. And so you are looking at a 63-year-old man who has refused to grow up.
Flag independence.
Yes.
Like you always
flag
say.
and anthem. Yeah.
He has a feeding bottle in his hands.
Yes.
He's an adult, but wobbling feet. I think he has chosen to be so. Obasanjo had his political reform conference 2005. Jonathan had his own national confab 2014.
Yeah.
When President Buhari came, he said that, to quote him, he said verbatim, he said that report was for the archives, was for dust. Now President Bola Tinubu is here. I think Pronako even then was calling for a national conference, sovereign national conference. That was the sing song. Can we? I mean, we've been blessed with a lot of conference reports for 10 of them or so.
Yeah.
Can we? So in my view, what we need is not another conference, and I completely agree with Mr. Fatunke. Can we sit down and ask ourselves these salient questions?
What do we want?
What do we want? Because appointing 50, I personally thought we were going to have about 50 ministers. And yesterday, after the president withdrew Mariam Shetty's name, he replaced and then added Keyamo to the list.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like somebody who is going to create a reserve bench. I mean, I'm just thinking. And this list could rise up to as much as 50. But what about the numbers is not even the question. The matter is, like you said, what do we really? Why is there such a push towards the center? Why are all eyes on Abuja? Why is it that if you've not gone to Abuja, you've not made it as a politician?
Yeah.
It appears to me.
Serious, because after 10 supposed national conferences and 10 national conferences reports, we should have been home and dry.
Home and dry.
We should be home and dry, but I think the issue of pride. Please let me add to the fact that Jonathan's
report,
conference and stuff like that, the same Bola Tinubu and his group said that it was a waste of time. It was not representative. Now, let's get to this point. In 2012, the same Bola Tinubu and his group said the issues surrounding subsidies, false and stuff like that. Now they are there now, and they are doing something. Let's accept the fact, like Winston Churchill. I might have said that yesterday, and now I'm going to change my mind. Let's be humble enough to say we have documents on the shelf
You
that we can
just
use
talked about Churchill.
and then polish. Yes.
Churchill said he made a rather surprising statement. He said, if you are going through hell, keep going. You know, I'm looking at Nigeria going through towards this hell. Should we keep going?
No, we stop. Laura Kwili said, stop. Raise your hand. Admit your mistake. And then begin to have a traceable. You see, leadership is not about ego. Leadership is not about the fact that you have done it in the past and it's wrong. Accept the fact that you are treading a path that is not noble, and you are now prepared to do the right.
Let the listener have his moment. 0700 903 903 903. What are we talking about? Simple. Political appointments, a cross between competence and political correctness. How much of it do you understand? What do you think you can tell us? What you want to ask new questions? And so here we go. Here's our first listener. Good morning.
Hello, Citizen. Good morning.
I greet you. Your name, sir. Where are you calling from?
This is Sudaguda from Itono.
All right, then.
The list of the ministers, they miss one name there.
What name is this?
This is one of my neighbor here. During the election, you know, allow people to put the people say you be you work for Labour Party. The name supposed to be there. I always take the name to be there. What you make up?
I hope I understood what he said. 0700 903 903 903.
Come on.
Political appointments.
Come on.
Competence, patronage, and so on. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, this is Toby from Bagada. I've listened to what you people are discussing. What I have to keep it is this. Nigeria is not a serious nation.
Please, lift up your voice. Lift up your voice.
I said Nigeria is not a serious nation. If it's a serious nation, we should have learned our lesson by now. It's unfortunate that things are going this way. Please, advise the government. Let them do the right path. Because what we are seeing in Nigeria now, we as citizens, we are not happy.
Yeah, let me tease you. What's the right path?
The right, like the way they appointed 48 ministers. That one is despicable. It's unacceptable. You understand what I'm saying? We are talking of cutting off costs.
The Constitution says so. Although the Constitution says 42. Okay, thank you. 0700 903 903 903. Yeah. Hello, good morning to you. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Your name, where you calling from?
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Oh. All right. Appears you are not ready for us. 0700 903 903 903. As a musician asked, Shana, like this, we go the day, and so on. Political appointments, a cross between competence and political correctness, or patronage, if you like. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Joe.
I greet you, sir. Your name, where you're calling from?
Michael calling from Godo.
I beg, me, I not hear you.
Sir Michael calling from the Godo.
Yes, Michael, you are on air. Go now. Go on.
Yeah. Well, it lasted for President Tinubu to submit his ministerial nomination. I was discussing with some of my friends. They were, let us give him the benefit of time. But if the kind of ministers that we appoint are those that we have known already, then we should agree that he has been from the beginning. So looking through the names of those he appointed now I believe he has failed already. And that aside, I believe by now, since the government has changed, what should be recognized how to restructure, because he was saying he was campaigning with restructuring during the days of Buhari. Now, Buhari did not do anything with restructuring. And now, President Tinubu is there. What are we going to do? We need to restructure this country. Now.
Yeah, okay.
We cannot continue like this.
I'm sorry. 60 seconds are up. 0700 903 903 903. The last caller is telling me, Cyril and Akin, that the president has failed.
But there's a man who, on that list who had been accused. Okay.
Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, do us a favor. Remove that radio or hearing aid, please. I'm hearing myself over your radio. Please.
Is it clear now, sir?
Leave it there. If it stays like this, it will be okay. Yeah, go on. Take your 60 seconds.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, go on.
Okay. It's a pity. The country is becoming a constant and suffering a constant and incredible balance. And the way I see it, I don't think we are serious with governance. See, because I don't know the reason and reason. Why some people will continue to live on taxpayers' money from the last 20 years, 15 years, recycling themselves under the same umbrella. What we see today is the kind of trying to create another party in the next 4 years. Go and mark it. A party that will take over and then close down every other position and become that one party that nobody will contend with it. That is what I see going on now. And these things they do, forgetting that the past in 1956, what caused the coup then? In 1953, what caused the coup then? These are part of all these things that people think of themselves more than the ordinary Nigerians on the street. Who stand under the sun?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 60 seconds out. Yeah.
On the list is a man who was once accused of bombing, not shooting, of masterminding the bombing of a state house of assembly.
Again,
and is a nominee.
It delineates the fact that
is a nominee,
not yet Uhuru, and that the caller who said in anger that it's a failure from the start has his point. But I've seen people, I've sat in class with people right from the start that showed signs of failure. In record time, they adjusted, they rebalanced their focus, and they led the class. My hope and expectation is one, President Bola Tinubu has to lead and lead from the head. He has to show example. He has to show example. When I say show example, he will not be asking us to tighten our belt. And he and those surrounding him will not be tightening their belts. Yes.
That's if they have belts
he
at all.
Has, some of them have big buckles. If you look at some of their turbans, it's too big, and they say they have to put something in there. So if you cannot, if you cannot streamline your tummy, then you are not fit for governance. As governors, you must also know that as subnationals, there are developmental and exemplary things that should happen within you. Allow the local government within you to breathe, and then the local government itself. They're not talk about the National Assembly. The clock is ticking, and it's ticking fast. And unless we embrace this exemplary character of actually leading and leading by example, talk to us. Tell us some of the things that you have done that will make you different. And if we say it is not good enough, please listen and then rejig. As much as you can.
Is it possible to close in 45 seconds?
Of course it is. It's not too late for the president to get his act together. Some of these names you're seeing are a source of worry for well-meaning Nigerians who might have hope in the president, or who, even if they don't have hope, have no other person to look up to than the president, because there's no other country to call yours than Nigeria. Retrace his steps where necessary and make sure that he hits the ground running. Mr. Fandika has spoken about somebody coming up later on to get his act together, but this is national governance. I mean, people could die. A lot could happen. You should get it good from the get-go.
All right, we are done. We want to thank Cyril Abako for coming.
My pleasure, Citizen Jones.
Akin Fatoke also for coming.
Thank you very much. I believe in Nigeria.
See you on Saturday morning. Thank you.